So
Yeah.
continue on
No,
music
so
education.
yeah, I just think it's super important. It's a God-given talent, and if you don't foster that growth, like what would it be? So, I really, really like the commercial. What was it, last year with Elton John, the day that his mother gave him a piano the first time. And then you imagine by the end of the commercial, it questions like, would you imagine the world without him ever having his piano? So it's just something that you don't know until you try. And it's all about exploring. Like you hear the sounds and you can explore and you can play with something. And there's no lines you have to stay within. So it's really it's like freedom for a kid to just make it do whatever you want it to do, And then you start to learn and you can make actual stuff with it. But yeah, that's why I think it's.
I'm glad you brought
important.
something to the table because these two sure didn't. No,
Yeah.
Justin did for sure.
Where am I?
I'm kidding. No, you're right too. Not only does it show you how to release
Don't
some
eat my lunch.
creativity too, but it's also teaching you rhythm, communication with others as well. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
communicate when you're playing music, right,
Yeah. And
fellas?
And it's a language. And music is a language that's spoken among cultures.
Right.
There's nothing that holds you back. If you can move your body and listen to something, like you can basically speak to another person without knowing anything.
You and education have always had an
I have
interesting relationship.
yes. I think it's important for everyone to learn music education or to see if they have some sort of gift that they don't know they have, especially in schools, meaning whether it's piano, drums, tuba, whatever. I think somebody might not know that. If you don't have it, then they might not know they have that. I hope that's.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mikey, what does music mean to you in general?
Music in general.
Music in general.
Like I said, music for me was a way to dive deeper into life. It was a way for me to feel things on a deeper level and talk about it and hopefully touch people on that same deeper level. But like I said, I think it's so impactful, just the music as a medium. I don't think there's anything more powerful than music. And I don't think there's anything that can, other than actual real life events, I don't think there's anything that can make a 50-year-old guy pull his car over because he's crying his eyes out to a song that reminds him of something or a lyric that just crushes him. I don't think there's anything that can do that. I don't think there's anything that can, recall memories and bring you back to places and then bring you up to the present like music. So I think that's what it is for me.
Why is music education important to you?
Oh my God, dude. It's unbelievably important. You can't, not everyone can draw, but everyone can make a note. Even someone who has a disability, you can get there. You can definitely get there. It's so connecting. I don't know. I keep on going back to that because it's so important.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I think music education is very important because, as I was saying, you're depressed or something bad in your life and you listen to someone's lyrics. Well, it's the same for that person who's writing the lyrics a lot of the time or writing the music. It's a very cathartic and it's a very releasing experience. And I think the more and more you learn, the better you're going to be at music in general, which is going to make your message easier for other people to understand. And the better that you can get yourself across and the better that people can understand you, the more the connection is there and the better the whole experience is going to be. So music education is something that I myself have missed out on. I was butt-headed and just dumb about it. And, for years I've been like, I don't need it. And I look back and I think to myself, how far I could have come if I really put the time in to, and maybe not. Maybe, this was my path and this was my personal path in music was, coming at it without, a lot of music education and still just not giving up and sitting in my bedroom and playing the wrong notes over and over again until I just stopped hitting them. Yeah. Or, maybe hitting the wrong notes until I figured out how to make it the right note, and putting the next note next to it or whatever it is in whatever style. So I really do. I think music education is important, and it's something that I, in the last couple of years, have started to dive into. And the more and more I get into it, the more comfortable I feel, and the better I feel my performances, and the better all around. I just think it is. So.
Yeah. The more I learn, the more I want to do more.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and music is great. I can't remember the guy who they were interviewing, but they were interviewing this. He was like a 90-year-old musician, and he played his whole entire life. He was like basically a rock star. And they asked him about, you know, do you think you've learned it all, or what's it like being a master or something? He's like, I don't know, and I never will. And
Right.
that's the cool thing about music, is because the more and more you open the door, the more you realize that it's a really long hallway and there's a million other doors to go down.
Yeah, 100%. You ever try to do a polyrhythm?
Right. Those screw me up, though.
Yeah, no,
It's too much.
it's too much.
Right. Why is music education important to you?
Man, you know, it's there's I'm certainly not a scientist or biologist or whatever you want to say, but you know, the way that I always kind of looked at it like this. I think music education, there's a lot of mathematics, right? And anybody who knows me behind the scenes know that I'm actually a CPA. You know, don't hold that against me, but you know, so you got to use the mathematical side of your brain, at least in my profession, but you also need to use it to play music, right? Because music is so mathematical, it's so formulaic, and there's so many different things that you know, require your brain to be, you know, you have to exercise your brain in a certain way to know how to play this stuff. It's not easy. You can't just pick the thing up and play it, you know, play some shit and expect to, you know, for it to catch. But,
Right.
you know, I think that it also does something that I think is great. It keeps kids out of trouble. I think when you're playing music and you're dedicated to it, you get together, you want to write music with your friends, you want to play shows. And, you know, it keeps kids, you know, honestly, you know, out of, you know, shitty things, keeps them out of the streets and, you know, getting into stuff that they don't want to get into. I know me and my whole crew growing up, you know, dude, listen, we threw down like everybody else. But, you know, dude, none of us were getting into big time trouble because, you know, we just all, we were focused on writing music and playing a show and, you know, and having that camaraderie. And you just kind of, I really think it keeps you out of trouble, gives you a nice, healthy hobby. And more than anything else, it's artistic, right? You know, it's, you know, somebody who is doing something, they're creating their own stuff. And even if you're playing in a cover band, you know, that's fine too. But, you know, I prefer stuff that's original material. It's just you're exercising that creativity component to your, you know, in your life. And, you know, I love it. I love seeing my daughter. She plays instruments. And, you know, man, it's a sense of accomplishment. It makes you feel like you've really done something when you've written something or you're singing something or you're playing something or whatever. And what you guys are doing for the instrument drive, I saw it, man. It's killer. It's absolutely awesome. I hope there's. I saw a bunch of guitars and stuff in people's cars.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's cool because I know a lot of my friends, they don't play anymore and they've got stuff, you know, sitting around their house. You know, I challenge them to look through and say, hey man, if you could part with it, you know, give it up for a good cause, man. I mean, you know, the schools, you know, they're not made of money, right? And you know, think what you may, but you know, the music programs, they'll disappear first over everything else. So to support that stuff and to see the community get behind it, dude, it's a big thing.
It's been huge. I want to thank everybody that's been donating so far, and it's lasting all the way through September 5th. So you still have time to get your instruments in for our instrument drive. A lot of people have beat up gear laying around the house or stuck in a closet or down in the basement or in an attic. Get rid of it. Put it in the hands of some kid that can use it, that wants to learn how to play instead of just sitting there collecting dust. And it goes through September 5th. So we have a couple drop-off locations, one at the Compassion Coalition at the Teacher Resource Center on Lafayette Street. Also Big Apple Music. Big ups to our friends at Big Apple Music. They've been a staple in our community for so many years. Not only are they a drop-off location, but they're also repairing the instruments for us. We also have a drop-off location at the Pizza Box on South Street in Utica.